Yeah, so this is Pauses, Parrots, and Poor Arguments. Real-world constraints undermine recent calls for AI regulation by Bartlomiej Chomanski. Oh yeah, Chomsky was the person I meant to, like I said, streamer brain. Can't remember a damn thing. Chomsky, of course, was saying the innate version of language, and this is an AI and society. This is their curmudgeon corner. We've read a bunch of these where they, they have a little editorial when they're talking about AI and society. So these are fun. What's up, Hefeweizen? How you doing? Good to see you. Gotta go hang out. So yeah, as always, feel free to ask questions, and then at the end, if you want, you can. At the end of the paper, yeah, I know. I was so happy the Yankees actually won yesterday. We do a little review, and everyone in chat feel free to review. So good. Yeah, that was actually not bad. That was a pretty good win yesterday, I thought, for the Yankees, but clearly I don't have it on right now. Okay, so here we go. And as always, let me know if you got questions along the way. I will try to explain it. We live in a real world. Come back to it. Senator Padme Amidala. Yes, prequel quote. Many leading intellectuals, technologists, commentators, and ordinary people have in recent weeks become embroiled in a fiery debate, yet to hit the pages of scholarly journals on the alleged need to press pause on the development of generative artificial intelligence. So that's what they're calling AI. Spurred by an open letter from the Future of Life Institute calling for just such a pause, the debate occasioned at light speed a large number of responses from a variety of sources pursuing a variety of argumentative strategies. Not all of the respondents resist the call for the pause. For example, the Distributed AI Research Institute, DARI, that's a cute name, DARI, that's fun, has issued a statement claiming that while the pause is indeed desirable, the Future of Life Institute's focus on predicted existential risks to the exclusion of present-day concerns is misguided. The discussion shows no sign of abating. I'm actually on DARI's side here. I think we've got plenty of problems to begin with, and the idea that we're going to create more problems, we're going to create more problems anyway. That's not going to do anything. Ivan Neo says, did you hear that Jar Jar Binks had a brother who was an author? No, I did not. What ever could be his name? His name was George Orwell. Oh, God. Hey, Rethius, how you doing? Welcome in. Hope you're well. Ivan, I'll give you that one. That one was good. I did not see it coming because I was trying to think how could you do that, but George Orwell was solid. Have to steal that one. Okay, yeah, so I'm on the side with no one's actually going to stop doing the artificial intelligence, so anyone who claims they're going to stop is a liar because there's obviously a gold rush right now. And two, we've got enough problems as is that this is not actually high enough on my list that we need to actually stop AI right now. I'm sure I assumed that was really good. I assumed you didn't actually make it, but yeah, you did. I wasn't going to call you out, but you called yourself out. That's fine. So, yeah, so I just want you to know where I am standing here. It's I don't think there's any stopping it, first of all, and I don't actually think... I think we've got other problems that are more important than to worry about generative AI. What's up, Rethius? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Author says, I wish to raise an objection both to the FLI's open letter and to the statement by DARI. I will refer to both collectively as letters and open letters. Semiotic says, just an interesting nugget. The initials JB, Jar Jar Binks included, suggests that the person so named is involved in espionage. Interesting, from Jack Bauer to James Bond. Oh, so are you one of the people that Jar Jar was really a Sith Lord? Because I saw that theory once and I was like, that actually makes a little bit of sense. So maybe he was the spy or something bad. You have taken it no further than the onomastics. Interesting. I saw a meme out there, like a breakdown saying that Jar Jar may have been sort of part Sith. You only occurred to you now because of Ivan's joke. Interesting. Okay. But like, yeah, there is a theory that what happened was that originally Jar Jar was supposed to be like a Sith training Anakin to become Darth Vader and not like a Jedi Master. And then with the backlash against hating on Jar Jar, they changed it just to make him sort of like a side character. They didn't want him to actually be as significant as originally planned. I think this is just a fan theory. They, I think, have said that was not the case, but unfortunately, like it's a really well thought out fan theory. There's some real Frasier humor, yeah. J.B. Pritzker, yeah. Okay, so, well, in the context of the issues brought up by the two institutes, this objection is to my knowledge novel. I pretend to little originality in voicing it. Rather, I offer a simple yet unappreciated application of some insights from political philosophy and economics to show that the recommendations contained in both missives are severely under-argued. Monzo Official, hello, how are you? Welcome in. If you have any questions, let me know. Despite differences in emphasis, both the FLI and the dairy letters insist not just on pausing commercial development of generative AI. They forcefully argue for laws and regulations to combat the predicted actual risks of continuing the work on creating increasingly more powerful systems unimpeded. I mean, everyone wants to like stay in control of this stuff. But like, what is really the problem here? Who's using it nefariously? And are the current laws, effective at that? Our current laws do not stop anybody from doing like nefarious stuff. They stop it from doing some nefarious stuff. A lot of nefarious stuff is perfectly legal. I mean, I remember when cell phones came out and they banned cell phones in cars, and they still arrest people or like give you a ticket if you're using your cell phone while driving. But no one enforces it really because everyone likes it. It's like, this is just like accepted risk because everyone thinks it's cool. And like, this is what I'm getting a flavor of this here. No one actually, like, everyone's screaming about it and they're like, but this is not going to be a working solution. People are going to do it anyway. Okay, the FLI letter begins with a litany of potential dangers that advanced generative AI may precipitate, from widespread technological unemployment to existential risks of unaligned superintelligence. Oh no. Yeah, see, again, right here. Technological unemployment. Well, whose problem is that? That's the government's problem if everyone goes on unemployment and then starts revolting because they have no money. Banning the technology has not been effective in the course of history. When like technology advances, government regulation of the technology has not been that good. You have to have other systems to mitigate this. Banning the tech, it just will push the tech into the shadows. It doesn't go away. You just get a black market for it. And then existential risks of superintelligence. Well, this is the same, fear that people have of, aliens coming down, gods or whatever. Hefeweizen says, highly tax AI and automation, but there's no political will for that. Yeah, see, like, this would be much more reasonable solution. No one's going to stop doing it, but if you taxed it, then at least there'd be more money to go around. But of course, they don't want to do that because, the government's getting paid off by the tech companies too. So, I mean, this has been the way it's been going. Hey, Frank, what's going on? I think it is much better founded than Fear of Aliens, but also I agree that there's no stopping it. I don't know if it's much better founded than Fear of Aliens. I think they're both kind of these boogeymen. I think they're just both boogeymen. Like, oh no, the Martians are coming, or, like Independence Day, they're coming to steal our resources, because that's what we would do if we went someplace. But, like, it's a boogeyman. It's, the Matrix, whatever. It's like Agent Smith. It's a boogeyman. Same thing. Ivan says, we probably need a minor AI disaster soon so we can learn some important lessons. I hate advocating for that sort of thing. I just think, because the people that die in that are always the poor people. It's just like, it's always the poor people that die on these things, just the average Joes of the world. So I never claim to want a minor disaster of any sort. Yeah, and that's kind of the point with all the lessons we learned from the recent minor plague. But so, like, that's the thing. I think we need, we need to take some, like, hard. we need to there's a lot of things that we need to do, but I've said this before. We've got major problems now. I don't think AI is actually that high up on there. Now, if it starts eating away at our economy because it just takes away so many jobs that it's going to be a political issue, then they need to do something. But that's not really an AI disaster. That's an economic disaster due to new tech. This has happened many times before. It's not the same. It's not anything different. If you want to go hear about the last time this happened in England, you could go hear about the Luddites. And it was a really interesting talk about how the automation of weaving machines and making of textiles, shirts and whatnot, put so many tailors and whatever out of business, and they were pissed and they were smashing the machines. So it's there's nothing new about this sort of discussion. And what's always fun about that is that weaving machines actually turned into the first computers. So the problem with AI isn't unemployment, it's misalignment. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what Ivan mentioned that earlier too. Hefeweizen says, existing AI seems to me just be a smarter use of big data. There's no real thinking being done. I'm mostly on that side too, but that doesn't mean that this is a good situation we've got ourselves in. It's just going to be a lot of problems with big data, a lot of it. So, Unreal Brian says, eating our economy like Pac-Man chomping pellets. Yeah, kind of. There'll be little bits here and there, and it will bite away at it. And eventually there'll be, the pellets will add up, and it will be a big problem. Frank Big Time says, there are many agents that act in ways we want during training, but ways we don't want afterwards, and there's no distinguishing them in advance. Yeah, and see, this is the exact same thing. This is kind of thing. It's AI isn't special in this. It's not. Any of this machine learning and the big data, there's nothing really that special about it in terms of technology to me currently. It's new. That's the only thing that's special about it right now. And so we're oh no, something new. We have to do something about it. Are we going to do anything about it? Probably not, because there's no political will. There's no social will at the moment. But things are getting, like I said, I'm not super into this stuff, but I feel things are getting worse for the average person at the moment. Everything's expensive. There's a housing crunch here in the United States. So it's there are problems. And so this is the thing. We've got big problems, and this is just compounding them. Or adding to them. I don't know about compounding it. But yeah. So this is the thing. I'm not worried about super intelligence. Not yet. We've got big enough problems. And technological unemployment, well, that's always been a problem. Any new technology. But yeah, it's happening. Okay, the authors say that AI systems with human competitive intelligence can pose profound risks to society and humanity, as shown by extensive research and acknowledged by top AI labs. Yeah, see, this is one of the other problems. The people who are screaming about this are top AI labs. Is this legit screaming because they're afraid, or is it marketing? Frank says, I agree that it's not new in kind, but it may be new in scale. No way to know if the first disaster will cost 1,000 or 1 billion lives. Fair. But again, in the history of humanity, we've done certain things that were bad and cost lots of lives. Now, yes, we have computers and we have bombs, and they can cost many more lives much faster. But again, I don't have any reason to think we're going to go for the billions at the moment. When we start getting the home, make your own virus at home kits, because we can 3D print molecules, then I might start getting more worried about somebody coming up with a novel disease that fucks us up real bad. But we're getting to the cyberpunk future. We're just not there yet. But yeah, so I was is the hullabaloo going on marketing, or is it actual fear? Okay, so further claim that these risks will not be adequately managed in the current competitive climate. Yeah. Frank says militaries are surprisingly eager to automate their weapon systems, and communications are complex enough that they have to be automated. Yeah. But we already had nuclear bombs that could blow everybody up. So it's we already had very dangerous things. So is this really a new problem for the military, or is it just one more bomb in their arsenal? It's this is the thing. We've been able to blow up the whole Earth for 50 years, 100 years, almost, at this point. So it's 80 years ago, we started blowing us up. We could blow, our bombs now blow up the whole Earth. We already can destroy everything. So it's this isn't a new problem about that. F. Wesson says, well, I mean, already they are using AI drones to figure out if a target is friend or foe. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be doing this. Not like it's new. You kind of hope that they're going to have a person and like to make decisions at a certain point, but you know they're going to take that person out for like small things, and then it's going to be and then mistakes are going to be made. Unreal Brian says, my understanding is we aren't very far from that regarding organisms, viruses. Yeah, we're not very far at the moment, but like you have to have a pretty sophisticated setup to do that sort of thing. When it gets more readily available, that's going to make me worried, because then any idiot in like their little podunk corner of the world will be able to like make a super virus, and that would be bad. Avenio says a medicinal compound searching algorithm found some nice stuff at the top of the list, but it found VX at the bottom of the list. It's like, yeah. You don't have to be sorry, Frank. It's fine. It's just I'm less worried about the big problems. I mean, it's fine that we disagree. I'm just less worried about the big problems and more worried about the problems we have here and now. I think the problems we have here and now are bad enough. Abstract away the decision making? Well, that's what computers do. I mean, we've got driving cars. The driving cars aren't perfect. Now all of a sudden we're going to have driving drones, and the driving drones aren't going to be perfect, and it's going to fuck things up eventually. Okay. So yeah, the authors are just talking about how the capitalist competitive climate is, just driving everything fast forward. Okay, so the author says instead recent months have seen AI labs locked in an out-of-control race to develop and deploy ever more powerful digital minds that no one, not even their creators, can understand, predict, or reliably control. Yeah, I mean, they don't know what's going on. It's fair. Consequently, not only is a 6 month at least pause called for. Furthermore, AI developers must work with policymakers to dramatically accelerate development of robust AI governance systems. These should at a minimum include new and capable regulatory authorities dedicated to AI, oversight and tracking of highly capable AI systems, a robust auditing and certification ecosystem, robust public funding for technical AI safety research, and well-resourced institutions for coping with dramatic economic and political disruptions, especially to democracy, that AI will cause. Be the trolley problem you want to see in the world. Yes, Unreal Brian. So it's like, yeah, we're going to have like a little drone pulling the lever eventually. So again, this is a lot of like fear mongering here in my opinion. Some of it would be good if we had, certain things like more stuff going on with the government, like be able to like, again, do the economic stuff, but like this robust public funding for technical AI safety research. Really? How much robust public funding for safety research do we do right now? This just looks like they want to offload the AI safety research to the government or to universities because they don't want to do it themselves. So like they're just saying we're not doing it. That just seems like them pushing the buck so that when they get sued, they say, oh, we just did what they said. Hefeweizen said I would pick an AI drone to pick me up some beers from the store, and would better pick the right beer though. Absolutely. I mean, we're going to have delivery drones soon. And so like well-resourced institutions for coping for the dramatic and political disruptions. Again, not taking responsibility for what they're doing, pushing the responsibility onto others because they are treating themselves as like, oh, this is inevitable and it's not our fault. It's just tech. So they're just trying to push the responsibility onto other people. How about we sue the pants off these people when someone dies? If you make an AI system and someone gets hurt from it, you lose everything. How about that? Easy solution, then they'd be forced to built-in safety measures. But they don't want to do that. They want the government and everyone else to take responsibility. And so you see, like when I'm reading this stuff, like a lot of this looks like they're just trying to get shift responsibility away from themselves. Citizen Max says, why are the pants the first things we want to take off of the people we don't like? Do we like them or dislike them? Because a lot of times you want to take the pants off the people you like too. So, yeah. Oh, sue the pants off. Yeah. I don't know. Well, it means that you're making them a bum without any like possessions, I guess. Yeah, sue the sunglasses off them first. Yeah, I don't know. It's a phrase. You could look it up maybe. But yeah, I was like, you take the pants off people you like also. Yeah. And phone says like H&M pollutes the plant massively, but it's my fault for not recycling my pizza boxes. Exactly. Yeah. This has been one of the most successful strategies, thank you, and for bringing this up, that the corporations have used. They put the responsibility on the end consumer. So like all the plastic bottles you get of soda, it's like, oh, you have to recycle. I've heard people claim if the Coke company had to recycle and they got fined for every, plastic bottle that ended up in a landfill, all of a sudden either would be a lot of recycling plants or they'd go back to glass bottles, which are easily recyclable. So it's like they successfully shifted the responsibility onto the consumer, and that way they can keep all the profits with not any of the responsibility for the environmental damage. So, good point. Yes, and we do love lawsuits, Hefeweizen. But this is not a intelligent way of solving problems. It is a way of solving problems. I don't know what exactly is better, but yeah. And it says, in Ecuador, we have returnable bottles. You pay less money just for the drink. We do have that here too, but it's very rare. And I remember there was a chain called Stewart's, and you could get Stewart soda. It was basically a convenience store chain, and you could do that there. And I don't know if they do that anymore. I don't think they do. But many years ago, you could get glass bottles, and you return the glass bottle, like a big old glass bottle, and you return it, and you'd get you get your quarter back or whatever. And so, you can do that. But again, it was a successful thing to get, everyone else to recycle their bottles and not have, Coke or Pepsi do it here. So, that's part of the problem. They push the responsibility on the consumer. Exactly. It's exactly. Yeah, force them to bring back the bottles for money. Yeah, it's shifting the responsibility. And that's exactly what it looks like when the AI developers are saying, oh, we need regulation. Oh, we need funding for AI safety systems. No, you want someone else to pay for it. And so you can continue to do what you have been doing. Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a drink pouch of Coca-Cola. That would be cool. That'd be fine. Canadian milk. Yeah. It's that's cool. Coke in a box. Yeah. I mean, it would be fine if there were other ways of delivering, soft drinks. Perfectly happy with that. But again, it's not the point. The point is that the companies made a disposability culture because they pushed what should have been their responsibility onto the consumer, and then they could shirk responsibility for environmental damage. It's people litter. It's well, you're making a product meant to be littered, basically. You're making a disposable society. Fast fashion. All this stuff is pretty terrible. Okay. The dairy statement, in contrast, points to the present-day complaints with how the industry operates as its basis for a fundamentally similar conclusion. The authors say, the harms from so-called AI are real and present and follow from the acts of people and corporations deploying automated systems. Specifically, AI, so-called companies are guilty of 1, worker exploitation and massive data theft to create products that profit a handful of entities, and 2, the explosion of the synthetic media in the world, which both reproduces systems of oppression and endangers our information ecosystem, and 3, the concentration of power in the hands of a few people, which exacerbates social inequities. Now, I'm actually mostly in agreement with this. That's how this stuff got made. It has used worker exploitation. It's screwing with all the media. They've stolen all the media we've already produced to, as training data for the AIs, and then only a few people have access to control this, and that's really bad. It's all the stuff that we have produced, all your code online, all your comments online have now been extracted by the AI companies, because Reddit's a huge community. I've been on it for a million years. And so they have used my statements, which I did not consent for them to use, to train ChatGPT. And so ChatGPT, now Microsoft, is making money off the smart things I've said on Reddit. Open source everything by law, well, AI related, you mean? Yeah, again, I mean, you damn communist, you. But it's yes. It's this is the thing. The control of the AI soft technologies is in the handful of a very limited number of companies. Let's sue the pants back onto Microsoft. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's it's Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook. Apple probably has one too, but they haven't released it yet. Or I think they may have contracted with somebody to use one. It's that's it. Oh yeah, and there's the Chinese Baidu or something. There's a few Chinese companies that do it as well, like Nvidia. Exactly. It's like, Bill Gates has so much money that he doesn't know what anything costs in the world for so long. He hasn't had to buy a banana. Like, ask him what a hamburger costs. He doesn't know. It's like he's not in the same universe as like us little people. Okay. Regardless of what prompts their respective concerns, however, the solution demanded by dairy are very similar to what the FLI exhorts us to do. To wit, quote, what we need is regulation that enforces transparency. Not only should it always be clear when we are encountering synthetic media, but organizations building these systems should also be required to document and disclose the training data and model architectures. The onus of creating tools that are safe to use should be on the companies that build and deploy generative systems, which means that builders of these systems should be made accountable for the outputs produced by their products. The actions and choices of corporations must be shaped by regulation which protects the rights and interests of people. See, that's not so bad. They're saying that the companies need to be held responsible. That's better. That's not at all what's happening at the moment. Hefeweizen says there's a good article on how algorithms are being shaped by platforms when you have a little time. Okay, so it's a Cory Doctorow thing. Cool. So yeah, thank you, Hefeweizen, for the link. Let's grab link for now. One sec. Oh, it's the enshittification of TikTok. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so ignoring many important details, author will summarize the arguments in schematic form as follows. 1. The unimpeded development of generative AI for commercial purposes poses serious threats to safety or else promotes exploitation, inequality, and wealth concentration. 2. Regulation of the unimpeded development of generative AI will mitigate these threats. 3. Therefore, there should be regulation of the unimpeded development of generative AI. Okay, so it's saying, hey, here's a problem. We need regulation. Therefore, we should do regulation. Most of the critical responses to FLI's open letter focus on undermining the first premise. In contrast, I challenge the second premise below. And so I kind of like this author. They're not going after saying, oh, there's problems. There are problems. Everyone should know there's problems. But the author is saying we're going to go after that regulation of it will mitigate these threats. And I agree. Regulation quite often does not mitigate these things. Unreal says, Adam Conover has a nice conversation on YouTube with Cory Doctorow. Cool. Yeah, if you want, put the link in chat if you want to find it. Of course, up to you. People can search for themselves. I take it you people know how to Google. Okay, so imagine for starters that we live in an ideal world where people are always moral and always obey what justice requires. Suppose that morality and justice require that the development of generative AI be stopped or paused. Then it will be stopped or paused. Developers of generative AI are people, and people in the ideal world are moral and obey the requirements of justice. For the same reasons, in this ideal world, there is no need for regulators. I dare suggest no one on any side in the debate thinks we live in the ideal world. Whatever we may disagree on, we all concede that not everyone is moral and does what justice requires. People are selfish, prefer short-sighted personal gains to ensuring global safety, and have no qualms about exploiting others or perpetuating harmful stereotypes if doing so is in their interest. Left to their own devices and driven by the inescapable commercial logic of the pursuit of profit, AI developers lead the world to potential doom or actual iniquities. Presumably, this is why we are in the situation we find ourselves today. Thanks, Unreal Brian. This is also presumably why we need regulators, guided by experts or expert regulators themselves, to step in and take control of the direction in which the development of technology is headed to enforce transparency and protect the rights of interests of people. We need regulators that are capable, robust, publicly funded, and resource-focused. Once we have these systems in place, we will move a long way toward solving the problem, or so both sets of authors argue. What do you send me? Oh, good. We'll get to that soon. Thank you, Semiotics. Okay. To summarize, we need regulators because AI companies engage in a short-sighted race toward ever more powerful models and driven by profit cannot be expected to do what justice requires. State power, presumably guided by the experts from prestigious think tanks and institutes, is the solution to safety risks, exploitation, systemic oppression, and wealth inequality. Yeah, so you can see this author is already setting this up because this is obviously putting all your faith in regulators has maybe never, ever, ever, ever worked, at least as well as you want it to. It may have worked sometimes, but quite rarely. But herein lies the rub. In the ideal world, remember, we didn't need regulators at all because ideal people are morally just. But in the non-ideal world, where people are driven to act recklessly or unjustly in pursuit of self-interest, we also have to contend with non-ideal regulators, experts, politicians, and voters. Why? Because regulators, experts, politicians, and voters are people, and in the non-ideal world, people would prefer short-sighted personal gains to ensuring global safety and have no qualms about exploitation or structural oppression if they can be used for personal advantage. Left to their own devices and driven by the inescapable political logic of the pursuit of power, politicians, regulators, and voters would lead to potential doom or actual iniquities. I mean, this is a little bit overblown. You're saying all of government is corrupt. That's not true. I mean, it's just not true. We have like rules that are somewhat enforced. Like, say, just are the liquor laws in this country. It was always harder when I was a kid to get liquor than it was for me to get weed. Weed was easier back when it was illegal to get because I didn't have to present any ID. I just had to go find someone that had weed and buy some off them. It wasn't that hard to get in my area. And so, like, the idea that regulation does nothing is wrong. Now, regulation is right, and now is it going to solve the problem? The answer is probably not, because this is too big of a problem. It's too much of a gold rush right now. So it's like, is the regulator going to not work at all? No, this is a little too much here. Anne, thank you. Let's give Anne a shout out. Thank you, Anne. Anne is also a streamer here on Twitch and other places, doing a variety of stuff. But yeah, so thank you, Anne, for stopping by. Thanks for the comments earlier. Insightful stuff. Anne does, variety streaming, I guess. Was working on a dress last time I saw her streaming and was playing, Fallout other time. So go give Anne a follow if you haven't already. Yeah, so Hefeweizen. So what he's saying is have AI run the government. Yeah, see, this is the thing. It's like you're not going to have an ideal government, and you're not going to have, so it's like, what is the solution here? Because this is a little bit too, it goes too far. We need some sort of government intervention, but, exactly what? And they're just saying it's not going to work at all. And that's not true, because some regulations do something, It's like, that's just, we have anti-monopoly stuff, that always comes up. I heard that the U.S. government's putting a kibosh on the Microsoft takeover of Activision because it would make too big of a games company. So stuff does happen. Is it imperfect? Yes. Is it a solution that actually might work? Who knows? But the idea that we can't do anything is stupid. That's just wrong. So this is over argued right here. They bit off more than they could chew, but that's okay. They made their point. This is the curmudgeon corner after all. Okay, author says, what is more, capable regulatory agencies that hold substantial power to affect the operations of the generative AI industry would become prime targets for capture, lobbying, or other types of influence. That's fair. This is what happens. You get people from the AI industry become lobbyists, and then they have a rotating door, and then all of a sudden the regulators aren't really regulating anymore. Yeah, after all, the profit-hungry, short-sighted executives of AI companies would seek to influence the operations of the regulator in as beneficial a direction as possible. Safety and equity be damned. And you see this in other industries. We've definitely had this in the military industry. So, a lot of people in the private contract business and in, the military, it's in the U.S. at least, it's a revolving door. They go from government contracts to regulations, and it gets to be a very bad mess at times. Okay, both letters, instead of grappling with these concerns, simply assume regulator imperfection away and expect that whatever form the regulatory bodies will take, they will achieve their intended purposes. Yeah, so even though the author here was being way too over the top with saying the government can't do anything, basically they're saying what they could have done is just said, for what the AI companies are claiming that they could do, it's not going to work. And that's true. The regulation is not going to solve the problems we currently have. Author says it seems hopelessly naive just a few minutes ago to think that we live in an ideal world, so hopelessly naive in fact that it would be ludicrous to accuse any serious thinker of making such an error. But it seems almost equally naive to assume that, though we live in a non-ideal world, we have recourse to the ideal regulator, the regulator we can count on for doing what is right, achieving what is intended, pursuing justice, and protecting our interests. And yet, this is essentially what we find in both letters. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's actually what we find. No one thought the regulators were perfect. It's just that they weren't very, it wasn't a complete solution. It never was. This way of thinking is by no means unique, nor is pointing out its flaws, as Jason Brennan puts it in an introductory textbook, no less. Many economists, political scientists, and philosophers make this mistake when they judge institutions. They complain about how ugly some institutions are in practice and then say we should go with their favorite alternatives instead. But they fail to examine whether their favorite alternatives are even uglier. It's one thing to argue that, in principle, a well-informed and well-motivated government could correct a market failure. It's another thing to argue that a real-life government will actually correct a market failure. In the real world, we don't get to stipulate governments are well-informed and well-intended. That could make all the difference in what we want real-life governments to do. Neil Bryan says Brennan is a hardcore libertarian, for what it's worth. Sorry if my audio's a little late. Ms. Boothroyd, thank you, Walt. Walt Walters, oh my god, thank you for the raid. Walt, how's it going? Fader, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. What is the meaning of life? Get laid. Have fun. I don't know. Raid. Well, thank you. Okay, hey, everyone. Anyone who doesn't know me, Jesse, thank you for the follow. Ms. Boothroyd, thank you for the follow. Anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Noger, No Gray, whatever you want to call. Yeah, be excellent to each other. Finally, the meaning of life, yeah. Hey, Mayaka, what's up? I read philosophy on Twitch sometimes because why the hell not? We're currently reading, let's give the Walterverse a shout out. One of my mods, nonetheless, because he said no one in their right mind will make me a mod. I said, oh, hold my beer. So he's now a mod. But yeah, oh, thank you because I'm amazing. I appreciate it. You're like, what? we are just dust in the wind, dude. Yeah, Ms. Booth, right? Yeah, you're a mod now, exactly. So I read, anyone who doesn't know Walt Walters, the Walterverse, and we were talking about Pants earlier too. He has one of the greatest little bits on Twitch called Pants Reveal. It is amazing. Everyone who does not know the Walterverse should give him a follow because he is a showman and he is smart and like sophisticated and funny and like good looking and like can talk. He can do like tongue twisters. So it's great. Hey, Jesse. Walt's pick up Jesse. Yeah. To see or not to see. That is the ocular something. I should hire you for my funeral. Yeah. Don't think I can remember anything I said, though. So, yeah. So give Walt what were you up to anyway, Walt? Well, how was stream? But like last I saw you, you were doing a Resident Evil remake. You've sunk my battle sheep. Yes. Just chatting, catching up. Yeah, because I saw the link, the go live, like it hadn't been live in 3 weeks or whatever. So I was like, that's cool. Yeah, so like Walt has a whole bunch of bits. He has like stream lore. It's great stuff. So good stream. Go check him out. Appreciate the raid. So if you need to go, chill out, hang out with the Miniverse, go do that too. But yeah, we were just talking about what's going on with AI and what people are saying that we need to do about AI. And a lot of people are saying, all the AI companies, they're saying we need regulation and government intervention. And basically, they're full of shit. They're saying that, I think, because that absolves them of the responsibility, just as drink manufacturers said, you have to go recycle. It's not our responsibility to recycle all the plastic we make. You have to go do it. Or Infernal mentioned, you get fast fashion, and then it's like it's your fault that you're like buying fast fashion, even though they're the ones producing it. It's bad. And so, yeah. So exactly, Jess. Companies don't do things that aren't self-serving. Exactly. So they're claiming for regulation, even though they can get around regulation. And the author was just giving them shit for that right over here. They were a little over the top. Regulation does matter. Like it does stop certain things. It's not going to fix everything, though. And this author is a little over the top on, regulation doesn't work. And it looks like they're quoting some very hardcore libertarians. And as was pointed out to me, this Brennan person, Jason Brennan says, look, they're a little, I don't think they realize that the government can do stuff, but, there's limits. Not all laws get circumvented all the time. So that's the thing. It's like, what should we do? And this person is just saying, well, you can't put any regulations on it. That's not going to do it. So what do we have left? Should we be able to sue the pants off these AI companies? I think so, but, they've got a lot of lawyers. So let's see what the author says here. Okay, the argument for regulation in both the FLI and dairy versions appear in need of what economists have called behavioral symmetry. We need to assume, absent reason to the contrary, that people are people, that they have the same types of motivations across the board in market and political settings alike. As Christopher Freeman puts it, the customer at Target and the voter at the ballot are quite literally the same person, so why give her different personalities when she's shopping for soup and when she's shopping for senators? Hey Adam Fighter, what's going on? Enough with all the talk taking off pants. Walt doesn't actually take off his pants, but he does show you the pants. They are revealed, and it is a, ecstatic experience, if you will. So, yeah. So we cannot simply assume that while markets and with market incentives populated by imperfect people will lead us to doom, state institutions populated by the same kinds of people will effectively achieve the goals of safety and equity. Yeah, no one thought it would. No one thought the government was perfect. So this is a little bit, uncloaking. And no, just a reveal. Okay, so yeah, the government's imperfect. What do we do about it? Arriving at such a conclusion requires ideally a serious analytic effort. We can't, of course, expect that from open letters, but one would hope for at least a sketch of an argument why we can put our trust in the idea that regulators will be justice pursuing, but commercial actors will not. Why will political institutions incentivize the pursuit of justice, but market institutions won't? The faintest attempt at answer is nowhere to be found in either letter. Okay, so now we're getting some real hardcore libertarian stuff here. The person's just saying, hey, why won't if you think the government's fair and will do things right, why not corporations? It's like, give me a break here. This is already assuming everyone's out for blood. Not everyone's out for blood. I'm not doing this because I'm out for blood. I'm trying to make a lot of money off philosophy. That's not going to happen. It's crazy. So it's not everyone's the same, and the idea that we're treating everyone as Machiavellian is that's a little bit wrong too. Yeah, exactly. We're the Paul father and son here. So it's now do we have a good solution? That's fair. This person's asking, do we have a good solution? Meh. I don't think so. I mean, this is just a curmudgeon corner. They've got 1.5 paragraphs to go. But this is also a little bit overblown. The idea that you can have public discussion and talk about stuff means you can pull more people in, and then maybe you will get some sort of tempered a little bit of tempering of this hardcore just make money all the time. So we'll see. Author says the closest we get for a like-for-like comparison is where both institutes express serious concern that decisions about how to deal with the threats from generative AI are left to unelected entrepreneurs. Instead, of course, we should institute regulatory agencies to deal with these threats. Yet this claim is puzzling on its face. At least on a fairly common understanding of the term, regulatory agencies are also unelected and, moreover, shielded as much as possible from electoral politics by design. Nor, of course, are the experts, academic think tank employees elected.
Science Semiotics gifted 19 bits. Science Semiotics says, Frankers, these words are not my own, and yet here I am saying them anyway.
Yeah, well, there we go. Generative, text-to-speech right there. Thank you for the 19 bits, Cinesemiotics. Yeah, so I'm shocked my alerts are still working, but hey, cool. Thank you. So it's this is the thing, but this is so weird. This person has zero faith in anything that happens. I mean, they really are living in some sort of libertarian mindset here, which is okay, but it's also very, very far off to one side because the rest of us do live in places with laws and stuff, and the laws do matter, More cynical than me? No. They are more idealistic. They actually think their libertarian stuff is right. That's not cynical. That's idealistic. They actually think that like this is how the world is, that like nothing can be done. That's just idealism. Yeah. Yeah, like hardcore dogmatic Hefeweizen. Like they're just hardcore libertarian dogmatic. That's an idealistic position. Frank says, I think since AI is fully conscious in general, is hacking him into sharing its words with us. We are now being second order manipulated. Fascinating. But how do you know this, Frank? Are you the second order AI? Okay. Yeah, of course. So if we're going to have a think tanks, academic think tank employees, they're not elected in any sense of the term. This emphasis on being unelected as some sort of mark against the tech leaders of today seems to be very selectively applied. Plus, in the non-ideal world, it is not at all clear that leaving things to elected representatives is a recipe for a more responsible tech policy. That there is no thorough comparison between different regimes of AI government is no fault of the two letters authority. The letters obviously have different purpose, but that they skirt the question of comparing like for like while making a case for radical policy change is an illegitimate intellectual shortcut. Okay, what's funny is like I agree that they're making this sort of they're making the same mistake. I don't think that like for like is a reasonable position to have, because only a libertarian actually thinks this is a legit move to make. Like, you have to have like some sort of like counter market to perfectly balance the market of the AI going up, to have something like perfectly regulatory, like for like, some sort of AI perfect counterbalance to it. That is also a massively unrealistic sort of thing that it sounds completely unrealistic to me. Ivan Neo says a government agency will at least create more transparency. This is the thing. I don't think this author understands anything other than their libertarian position. They don't understand the benefit of transparency here. They need a like for like, but they don't understand that the transparency means that more people can have input, and then other people can say, hey, look, something's screwy going on. I can see it. So this is part of the thing about open source tech, that you want it open source because then people could look. This the problem of course is you need someone who actually understands what's going on, but you can't even do that if you can't look at it. And so this is the problem. This author here is really single-minded about about their solution, about what needs to be done. When although even I agree that they identified a problem, I don't agree with what their criticism and their solution is, or what they sort of think needs to be done about it. But okay, that's my stuff. If you have any questions, but we can get to the review. So here we go. Review is now up. Everyone here is now able to use one of the TTS, the better TTV emotes. If you can see them, great. If not, you just can copy the words. So did this have some fun ideas in it? I thought this one did. So this is going to get a brain dance from me. So you can put that brain dance. So it's going to get one brain dance. Let's see. Big claims that shrivel up, kind of. Like it kind of blew it. Yeah, this is going to get a grapes, because this is a Nog grapes one. So yeah. So you think this was all style, no substance for the golden turd. That's cool. So it's going to get a grapes for me. It had some fun ideas, but it's grapes really. Did it slice and dice the arguments? Not so much. So yeah, so the question is this worth reading or not? Should it get a vote yay or vote nay? I mean, this is a real mediocre one. I'm just going to not give it one. It's just going to be sort of in between, or I'll give it one of each. Yeah, so this is going to get a 50-50. Vote yay and a vote nay. So, fun ideas, but I think it really sort of crapped its pants in the end, and that's what the grapes are. Well, it didn't crap the pants. It didn't do the golden turd. It was all style, no substance. I thought it had substance. I just thought it sort of fell down on what it was promising to do. They created an argument. I thought the thing that they identified was good, and then at the end, they just didn't follow through with it. A qubit. I guess it's short and makes one good point. Yeah, I mean, that's what this is, really. This is, an editorial in AI and society, and that's all that you're expected to do. And so am I really angry with this paper? No. I don't think it was a bad paper. For what it was short. It's 6 pages, because it was 3 pages double columned. But, that's it, and that's all it was doing, and, that's fine, really. So, as far as a little editorial, That's fine, but like, is it like really good? And would I recommend reading this one? Not really. Like, again, if you're interested in AI and society content, yeah. But like, other than that, no.